support.
Oh, you don't have to
not.
right-click. You can attack.
Yeah. Certainly
Because she
not
kills
the
minions
Aatrox
so quickly.
or the Camille setups in bottom that got the ball rolling. No.
Also, the fact that they managed to like at least show that Aatrox and Camille are both relevant on 9.3 as well. That was pretty cool.
Slow down there. Now, KT, Lee Sin banned right in the window. SANDBOX responding with Lucian in the door. And now, Thresh being taken away by KT. And UMT is definitely looking not very happy after that previous game.
Yeah, well, you could imagine that after having the Dream early game on a Nocturne and then not winning, that must feel pretty bad, especially against that of a Camille. When a Camille can't face check you as Nocturne, you gotta be feeling pretty good. As Yasuo going to be hitting the bench here. Yasuo was first banned from SANDBOX in game number 1. And there's the Galio ban.
Yeah, taken away by KT, and this means Ezreal will potentially get through the ban phase, or at least the initial one, yet again.
Unless SANDBOX want to ban it here, they certainly can. Zenit hasn't actually played Ezreal at all this season. Not once. So maybe not high on the priority list.
4 seconds. Definitely looks like they are debating. And LeBlanc.
And now it looks like a Zoe first pick is an opportunity here for KT if they want to go towards it, continue ignoring the Ezreal priority completely. Urgot also available, but Smeb had a pretty forgettable performance on the champion. The first pick in game number 1 was Aatrox, so who even cares about that? As Vladimir would certainly be a power pick. He was banned, but it was in the second round of bans, and there's the Zoe that we were talking about earlier. So understandable first pick here for KT and B2D back on some power, but he also sort of fell off when it came to getting things done in the later game. But I think it was largely overshadowed by mistakes elsewhere on the KT roster. Now SANDBOX wondering what they want to grab next, and Summit's Jace, certainly something to be scared of.
That's probably going to be Jace top lane, and we'll see what SANDBOX end up accompanying this Jace pick with. Will they go for the full mono red aggro? What I mean by that is just full-on aggression that wants to smash directly at the face of the opponent.
I actually, when I found out that I was going to be commentating with you, I did some Magic the Gathering
Nice.
research.
Nice.
Made sure that I could at least keep up with some of the things. I mean, you talk about like lands and stuff like that. I'll be like, yeah, no, I totally know what you're talking about there, man. Yeah. Yep. So don't worry, mate. I got you. As Lissandra is going to mean that our SANDBOX have said no to the flex, and they want to tell you exactly what their solo lanes are going to be. Unless Joker has some crazy business for us with some bot lane Lissandra, but I'm sick of getting baited by having to talk about that because it's never actually happened.
Ooh, and Olaf now locked in for KT. And the Jace, see now the problem is if you're KT, if you end up picking Ezreal here, Jace can just be flexed into bottom lane. And that's actually considered one of the heavy, strong answers to Ezreal down there in bottom. And Yorick instead going to be picked up for Smeb here to try to match this Jace. This is becoming an extremely common matchup in high-end Korean solo queue and scrims and whatnot.
Whoa,
Shen.
Joker with the blind Shen. Okay, well, I mean, it did some great things earlier on. They are going to ban away the Tahm Kench as well. Remember last time around, we actually saw 4 support bans coming in our second round. That's if you include Galio there. Actually, no, I tell a lie. It was 3 and then a Vladimir randomly coming in there. Nocturne, though, is going to be taken away from OnFleek, and Umti is just going to thin the pool of things that he doesn't want to go up against. Makes some sense here. What is the final ban for SANDBOX going to be? 15 seconds before we figure that one out.
Well, ADCs and supports are both present, and I mean, there's not really all that many options available, but I'm imagining that the Jace is probably just going to be going top lane, so a little bit surprised, actually. Now, SANDBOX does have first selection. They could get Ezreal themselves here.
If they want to, yes.
Yeah, Ezreal is very strong against Yorick and Olaf. And against Zoe, it sort of becomes a knife fight.
Also, you deny the Zoe Ezreal combo as well, which I think is pretty nice. Having those two in the same game just makes locking them down very tricky.
What do you call that combo? Zoe Zerial?
Zezreal?
Zezreal?
Ezroe? I don't know, their names both have Z and E in them.
Yeah,
it's
they do. I don't really...
Zoe's Reals.
What?
I don't know. Oreo? Camille, banned away on the side of KT.
Nice. And Sivir now being hovered by SANDBOX, so...
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Time to press R and right-click a few more times, so...
That's free MVPs, my friend. That's how we do it here in the LCK. So that should be the Shen Sivir bottom lane, and the jungle is going to be counter-pickability on the side of On Fleek. KT need to round out their roster now. I believe we're looking for a bottom lane, as Alistar was banned in game number 1, now going to be available in game number 2. Snowflower does like to get around on the Moo Cow, build some Moby Boots and get into a different lane. I like it. And what is going to be the AD carry of choice here on the side of Zenit?
Well, 15 seconds remaining. And this team composition is looking very much so to be a Zoe versus the world. But hold that thought, as gonna get some help from Vladimir.
All right, so Vlad gonna be coming in, laning on the bottom side of the map most likely. As On Fleek, considering his jungle choices, going to be up against an Olaf, so always going to be a difficult matchup when it comes to early game power. And of course, being able to keep up in farm is going to be a tough one. But Jax has a decent time trying to get some stuff done, and they're going to lock it in. How are we feeling about it, LS?
I guess it's going to be Jax against Yorick. I've actually never seen this matchup, so I'm not entirely familiar with it. I wish that I had Hashinshin on speed dial.
Well, no, that's Jungle Jax. That's Jungle Jax, so we're okay. It's going to be the Jace Yorick.
I was getting excited. I thought that we were going to have Jungle Jace actually pop up.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, we still could. We've got 10 seconds to go before that happens.
There is still 10 seconds.
So you're exactly right. You're I won't speak too soon.
All right. It's just actually surprising to see the Jax selected to be the jungle here instead of the Jace, because that would get him out of the matchup, and then maybe Jax has a good matchup against York, but I guess that's not what we're going to be seeing.
I think the Maiden ignores Counter-Strike when it comes to damage, so...
I'm a coach, but...
Maybe it's not a great matchup, actually.
Yeah.
As I believe it is going to be the Jungle Jax coming in there.
Yeah. Yorick, Olaf, Zoe, Vladimir, and Alistar. This team composition wants to go hard, and they have the ability to do so from the very first item. And then after that, it's mostly going to be the Zoe and Vladimir show, reliance on setting up flanks and extremely good engages. But they do have the option of having Yorick split push later on in the game.
Yeah.
And trying to, you know, fight inside of the Barrenside River. But on the flip side, for SANDBOX, Jace, Jax, Lissandra, Sivir, and Shen. So a lot of aggressive engage, but definitely needs a little bit more time to wind up than the enemy team.
Yeah, also I think it works quite well as a 4-1 composition, but when you've got a Yorick on the other side that could potentially get to a point where he's happy split pushing against the Jace, it might be theoretically like playing into the wrong playstyle based on what you're up against, but we'll have to find out as we hit the rift for game 2. SANDBOX fans in full voice, as these guys have locked down second place here in the LCK for so very long, losing the minimum amount of points up against Griffin in their loss by going 2-1, now wanting to cement themselves another 2-0 victory. Certainly dropped a few more games here and there than Griffin have, still being a dominant force, and once again teetering on a 2-0. Joker, trust him, he's a doctor.
Yep.
Has to skill his taunt level 1, but he's not going to be too worried about that. You almost do that anyway, don't you, on Shen support?
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Not sacrificing anything.
Well, now at this point, just having an extremely safe opening from both of these teams, and I really do feel like the onus is more so on Olaf to make some pressure or things happen early on. Normally, when we've seen Olaf lately in the LCK, they've liked to and have elected to just power clear as their lanes are self-sustaining and whatnot. And this time around, Olaf does have that in some of his lanes, but I don't think that you want to just handshake early to mid transition scaling against this team comp.
Yeah. As you saw, BDD won that trade because he has a Keystone and Dove hasn't got one yet. He's only level 1 and can't actually activate his Aftershock. But he's going to be fine. Just eats one of the Corrupting Potion charges and will continue to farm things out whilst also harassing BDD just a little. BDD deciding to go with Cleanse this time around because there's a Frozen Tomb to contend with, so it doesn't have the Ignite. The extra aggression in the earlier stages of this game. Zen and Snowflower are going to try and farm it up against Ghost and Joker, but how scared are we? Because is giving Vladimir a free lane worse than giving Shen a free road to level 6 in a composition like this?
Oh, that was really weird. It didn't taunt? Was that a visual bug? I think Scuttlecrab's not into Dr. Shen's.
No, I guess
He's
not.
trying to run away.
He's not trusting him, even
You know
though
why,
it is a doctor.
Yeah, when you got crabs, you go to the doctor.
Oh.
That's what's going on there. So,
Uh-huh.
and that actually regenerated and healed up really fast.
So Joker just wasted time,
I guess he's not a doctor.
Yeah, we're trying to get Ghost some solo experience there. I don't know. I'm very perplexed. But Umti, like Ships in the Night, is going to deny that little puppy and actually just going to continue on over, try and take this blue buff. And OnFleek has caught him in an odd spot. Does have Counter-Strike available, of course, but that's a level advantage. Joker gets in there. It's a really nice taunt and a deserved first blood, and that's why he was hanging around randomly hitting the Rift Scuttler.
And now Umti falling behind now to the Jax jungle. Definitely not something you want to have happen this early on. And coming off of the fountain, he does have the Predator boots. He doesn't have his jungle item available, but he's going to want to start making something happen. As now, everyone hit tab. They're able to know, okay, we know what Campsy has up. If anyone dies to a gank of his, you got bigger problems on your hands.
Yep.
Just taking a quick look at this. I mean, it's all too easy to hit the taunt, and there's nowhere he could go. He couldn't flash over to the left or the right. He would end up dying anyway, so just saves his flash.
And then OnFleek immediately transitions into grabbing the bottom scuttle as well, so that is going to be double scuttles for OnFleek. 2 games in a row when it comes to the Rift Scuttlers. The guy is doing pretty damn well. And I think I've got a reference. I mean, Joker's picked up first blood now on the Doctor. Have you played Borderlands? You played Borderlands? You remember the Doctor in that game?
No, I never played that. What is it?
He was a doctor that had more blood on his hands than most of the other doctors. He didn't seem very good at his job. And as Joker just killed someone, I'd say that he's also not exactly the greatest doctor we've seen so far in Runeterra.
One of the interesting things I want to talk about is despite having a first blood and an assist on it, KT is still relatively close in gold, and I mean all of that is coming inside of the mid lane CS gap. Zoe has killed Lissandra basically.
Yeah.
So
that's a huge CS lead. It's a couple of waves.
Yep. 2 waves. And I mean a wave is crashing into Lissandra, but the lane state not that good for Dove right now. He does have the teleport, so very surprising to see this kind of a deficit this early on.
Joker just straight up not caring about what's happening there towards the bottom side. Ghost going to teleport back with a pickaxe in his back pocket. So whether he changes up the build based on the item choice here is, okay, it's a really nice taunt. On to Zenit, Spirit's Refuge stops a few of the auto attacks from coming back in, but decent pick against the Shen is just to not play with an 80 carry, because auto attacks don't bother you as much. Really? Because you just want to be hitting that Crimson Rush whenever it's up off cooldown. Of course, the empowered version of the transfusion. Entirely know why I talk about Crimson Rush so often. I don't know whether anyone really knows that that's the ability name.
Well, at this point now, Snowflower may be looking to make a play happen.
It is just going to face check on Fleek though. The stun is going to come down, Trouble Bubble, but he gets into vision. Circle of Frost there for Dove, but doesn't have level 6 available. Now SANDBOX wanting to collapse. Joker was making his way up at only level 4, so no Stand United available. And they are going to just agree to disagree. Yeah,
priority on Jace as well, and with Joker here, this is going to be another Scuttlecrab going over to OnFleek, who's actually down in levels right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. Umti, of course, ripping through the jungle on the Olaf, but finally does hit that level 5. Smev has a huge minion wave to deal with here, so things very even. Top side of the map. And the Jace, of course, picking up the Summoner Aerie, just to make sure that he has the best time in this lane. It's not exactly one where you're going to be picking something like the Kleptomancy as the Jace.
And so far, yet again, we're having a little bit of a gentleman's agreement. There's nothing really too exciting happening across the map.
If this is a gentleman's agreement that Dove made, though, I'd probably ask him to think about the agreement a little bit more. Read the
I think he's getting scammed.
Yeah.
This is like trading your chocolate milk for a first edition Charizard.
Yeah. Again.
Again.
I know. I don't even know. Was it him that we were talking about last time? We were talking about first edition Charizards? Because that would be really depressing. He got 2 of them? Damn, that's some incredible booster packs that guy had. I remember there was a myth in my primary school about a guy who found a booster pack with only Charizards in it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was he instantly popular off that?
That's when I learned what the word gullible was.
Okay.
At that point, yeah. And I was a good representation of what gullible was at that point.
Excellent.
Yeah, 600 gold the lead to SANDBOX Gaming after the first blood goes down, but so far no catastrophic mistakes here from KT Rolster. They want to get their Vladimir to a point where you can team fight. And they're going to have the Yorick there as well, splitting in the side lane. It's just worrying about whether or not this Sivir is going to get to a stage where these autos are going to work. We saw what Chovy decided to do to a Sivir, and that was murder.
Yeah.
Over and over again, and that meant that even if you get 4 items on your Sivir, if she's dead, she doesn't do anything.
Right.
Pretty decent strategy. As same rule applies to Alessandro, who will take half of her health bar and damage there from B2D. And he picks up a Ghost, so he can run around if he wants to. See, there's a Ghost on both sides of the Rift. Smeb just seems to be dealing with giant amounts of red dots knocking on the front door of his tower, meaning that that turret plate is actually going to go down relatively quickly. Fleek in there as B2D ghosting around in the mid lane.
Nothing really happening, but we could see something try to happen. But
yeah,
on
Fleek actually moving pretty damn quickly here.
That bubble.
He has the Malrung state of mind here as well.
Oh.
Going towards, okay, there's a face check from Umti, but Ragnarok is in. And Dove just looking for the extra damage. Doesn't use the Frozen Tomb as B2D's there. Fair bit of damage going down as on Fleek. Down to about half health, but the Trouble Bubble going wide. Exactly right. Umti lands the Undertow as the self-ult comes in from Dove. Joker comes on down. Level 6 available. Stand United already used. Top side of the map, I believe, is on Fleek. On Fleek, sorry.
Oh my.
Leap strikes
okay,
back.
finally.
All right, we're going to hit a bubble, but there's no vision. I believe that was blind onto Dove. And that was a whole lot of stuff happening, but not a lot of results.
You ever ate a sloppy Joe?
No.
That's what it would have. That's basically what it would look like.
Just feel like the name ain't great.
It's really not. You know, you just look at it and you're very displeased and you just wonder why it's on the lunch menu.
Yeah.
And we're getting a replay of this instead of the absolute catastrophe that just happened in mid lane. So right there we are seeing Yorick do Yorick things with the Iron Maiden, Stand United being called in from SANDBOX.
I don't think that's an Iron Maiden.
I think it looks like it has iron.
Yeah, maybe.
You know?
That's true. No? We don't know about the Maiden's choice of music as well. So I mean, maybe it's the right choice. Do you know what an Iron Maiden is?
Isn't that the thing that you used to die in, right?
Yes, the torture chamber.
Yeah, the torture chamber, right? With the needles.
Yeah.
And it closes on you. All right, so
if it's an Iron Maiden, I feel like is that going to be that good? It just plonks down this like torture chamber thing in the lane and just sits there.
I guess that was KT last game, and I'm not so sure.
Oh god, I guess it's on brand. Fair enough.
Right, well,
Dove and B2D just punching each other in the face with some spells, but otherwise not too much happening. It's just B2D extending his lead by a few things at a time. Smeb's going to be taking his own blue buff. That's not going to be a steal away. Actually going to be starting it up here for B2D because he wanted something to do. Didn't want to overextend in this lane. B2D comes, like collects it. No worries.
Looks like it was yelling at Zoe as soon as the blue buff was taken.
The Maiden?
Yeah.
It was like, wait, I don't know why that's the Maiden's voice. I'm sorry.
What was
well,
that?
It's like a weird dog sound. I don't know.
It's probably what Twitch chat
Maiden.
sounds like after they believe in KT.
That's what the excitement sounds like. Oh no. Well, this is what Shelly sounds like when she's getting thwacked with a lamppost. As KT want nothing to do with it. Summit's going to come on over. Dove's here as well. 3-on-3 is going to ensue. They're trying to at least get the damage down to lock up this Rift Herald. Trouble Bubble lands. That flash is not going to help you, Summit, as he's going to go down. Then SANDBOX say, well, we'll just take Shelly and we'll leave. No harm, no foul. You take our top laner, we'll take Shelly.
And that ends up being a pretty good pickup, to be honest, for SANDBOX. There's still several minutes remaining on play to they can convert it. Whoa, hold that thought.
That's a flash forward, but that's a last-second use of the ultimate onto Dove. Stand United from point-blank range, and Dove's going to get out. Joker takes the ride along with him. Circle of Frost is in there as Dove's trying to survive into Trouble Bubble. Doesn't land. BDD uses his whole health bar as Joker finally uses his flash in order to try to escape, but Zenit now underneath the turret. Joker still limping away, but the undertow will do it in the end. And on fleek, Leap Strike is there. Another claw.
With fire.
Oh my god, how is he avoiding these buttons? Is BDD at least able to get something done? He's going to take down a few turret plates here in the mid lane, but Ghost is like, all right, guys, that was funny. Yakety Sax music sounded great in my ears. I'm going to take down this turret bottom side.
Oh, man.
Do you know what just happened? Sivir just got 4 turret plates.
Sivir just got 4 turret plates during that whole thing. That progressed for so long. In SANDBOX, they're the ones with the Rift Herald. If Jax just runs top lane right now and summons it, I'm pretty sure they could convert it into at least a couple of plates. But it looks like he's going to take a quick pit stop at red first.
He's going to grab the Crimson Brambleback and then make his way towards one of these lanes. Doesn't have a lot of time left on that Rift Herald, but he can throw it down mid lane, he can throw it down top lane, he can get a bunch more of these turret plates as well. I mean, there's a lot of extra gold in this game because we've got a couple of plates falling on the top side in favor of KT, one on in the mid lane, none yet on the bottom side of the map. And you can see 1, 1, and all 4 being taken on the bottom side. So SANDBOX living with a bunch
ready
of
for
extra
round
money.
2. So right here, Summit, you can see him getting told to go to sleep, ends up flashing, but there's not really a purpose behind it. But nonetheless, his team managed to secure themselves the Herald during all of that. Dove, you're going to see him get told to go to sleep, and he says, you know what, I'll do it for you.
I'm going to make my own bed, actually.
Yeah, he's going to make his own bed. Joker says he wants to sleep in it with him. And then BDD, I mean, everything is just missing. This is a true series of unfortunate events. Oh, man.
As my mother would say, Jeepers Creepers.
That was a terrible movie.
Yeah,
Did
not a
you
great
watch that?
movie.
Yeah, I
not
feel
a
like I'm
great
watching
movie.
it again.
Yeah. And look at this. I mean,
There
that
we
claw
go.
was really nice, and the sidestep
Yes.
was pretty beautiful. From on fleek as well, but the fact that KT couldn't catch up and get anything there was just, whoa, bit rough. KT fans, still the lead for SANDBOX isn't super ridiculous. Just the problem is that Ghost has got towards the Essence Reaver. He can stick around in lane for a very long time, and he's going to do so in mid at the moment. Turret plates have fallen, so it's just a slight lead in that regard on SANDBOX's side, but Smeb is the savior for KT, being able to take down a few. Top side of the map.
And at this point, I mean, the game is going to enter into a temporary lull state. There's no neutrals anymore on the map. It's only 15 minutes. Yes, SANDBOX, they do have some items on their side. Zoe probably going to end up completing her first core item, Proto Belt and Fiendish Codex on the side for Zenit. So he's almost ready to go with max CDR soon on the Vladimir.
Yeah, basically has it here, level 9. It's very close.
Yeah.
Just needs that scaling stuff to stack up. Okay, Rift Herald going to go down in the mid lane. I mean, there's no plates to be taken here, but breaking that one open is going to be very important. As Dove, he's going to get jumped on here by Snowflower and head back underneath his turret, which is actually where he wanted to go. Very strange situation right there as Summit moves on over.
Yeah, I don't know why they're on the right-hand side. It felt like, okay,
On
well,
the
all
hunt,
right, press
there's
R.
the donkey whistle is on fleek. Not going to get the counter-strike as Zenit has a W button for that. And the Sanguine Pool is going to be the perfect counter to the on the hunt.
Well, now SANDBOX extend their lead to about 2.3k gold.
Yep, Smeb is going to be discovered here. Throwing the Morning Mist towards Joker, but doesn't actually find it.
SANDBOX, I mean, if you're SANDBOX right now, you don't want to fight. Your champions are only going to get better once you let them accumulate a few more items.
Yeah, and I feel like as well, I mean, this 1-3-1 that they're playing works out pretty well, especially with Stand United available, and Ghost has the Essence Reaver this time, so he can just park himself in mid lane and keep things farming through. As you can see, the benefit of having that ridiculous skirmish where nothing really happened was that Ghost now has about a 40 CS advantage. And that's why he's got that farm bounty on his head. 550, the only bounty in the game, and it's going to be on Ghost, who's a 0-0-0 Sivir, sitting on a whole bunch of money, and almost, what the heck, 2,000 gold in the lead?
Yeah.
Turret plates are busted, dude.
All of this gold right now inside of the Sivir is going to be really problematic because when the two primary carries that are meant and intended to deal damage to the enemy team, and you need them to blow up the Sivir inside of the team fight. She's going to be able to itemize resistances and shields, and look, you already have the Phantom Dancer being picked up.
Was that outright as well when he went back to base? He had a lot of money there.
He had a lot of gold.
Yeah.
And so Ghost is going to be extremely difficult to bring down, and once he ends up getting a Quicksilver Sash to add on a little bit more magic resistance and then making sure that he can never be put to sleep in addition to his spell shield, it's going to be so difficult for Vladimir and Zoe to really do anything as they're getting dogged down by a Sivir ultimate.
Well, Summit, he's going to have the ghoulies on him, as OnFleek's going to come up and try and help him out here. It's actually the whole squad that are going to turn up, but Smeb walks pretty fast with this Trinity Force now completed. Ninja Tabai as well, but he'll be fine. See where Smeb is going to go. I know a lot of people were confused and upset about the Zerot portal being built by Swords Yorick earlier on today, so hopefully for their sake, we are not going to have that item. B2D poked his head over. I'm not going to be too worried. Might be careful about Umti, who came rocketing towards him, but not going to be too concerned about that one either, and now information given. Over to SANDBOX, OnFleek turns up top side. Smeb, yeah, that Dark Procession not feeling too dark. To Summit, who just hype charges, and everything is totally fine. Shoots it down very, very quickly. What's the next move here for SANDBOX? What's the ideal play if you're SANDBOX with a slight lead wanting to extend?
Well, at this point, you just wait for Lissandra complete her second core item, wait for Jace to complete that Black Cleaver. There's no reason to risk anything going catastrophic over a Clown Drake here at 19 minutes.
But what about second Clown Drake?
You know what? That's a very compelling argument. I'm going to have to go with no.
Imagine the kid's birthday then, though. I mean,
2 clowns.
1 clown is creepy. 2 clowns, that's where the fun starts.
Well,
you know, OnFleek Counter-Strike is going to be available, so he'll be fine. And Summit actually jumps in on top of Umti, who's not as tanky as he really wants to be on the Olaf. Joker moving on to the side, and I feel like SANDBOX are playing it out very similarly to the way you were talking. They're just playing cool, they're playing calm, they've got waves exactly where they want them to be. That push out from Dove was very effective. Bottom side, that's going to tie up Smeb for a little while, and that's all just time that KT hasn't been farming. Zenit coming on through, but he's wasting some of his buttons here and actually taking a lot of harassment.
The Cranecasters are going very loud. KT, if they end up having to fight over this Cloud Drake, that could end up being very bad. But I think SANDBOX, they're content to just give it up. There's no reason to
commit. They're not even really giving it up here, are they? They're trading it for this top-outer turret. You'll probably take that global gold. That's one step closer to the Black Cleaver, to the Infinity Edge, to even more items coming in for Dove, who's looking for either Luden's Echo or maybe even heading towards his Zhonya's relatively early, depending on whether or not he has to use his stopwatch soon. OnFleek's going to dive on over. Dove gets on in there, and Smeb is in trouble. The Maiden's trying to help out, and Umti will turn up, but OnFleek is just doing battle with the top lane. A Leap Strike comes in, and Joker secures that kill. That's what happens. It's not a 2 versus 2. It's a 3v2 because Shen exists on this map for SANDBOX, and they play so well around it.
Yeah, and they just managed to get themselves a very good advantage in temporary pressure relief. And meanwhile, in mid lane, look at Ghost on that Sivir. He just keeps farming up, almost 70 CS ahead.
Dude. What the heck is this? He's going to go back home. Is that... Yeah, BF Sword and, okay, double control ward. I thought maybe it'd be pickaxe on top of it, and that's when you just can't, fight the Sivir at all at this stage. 20 minutes and almost 3 items on Sivir? Hell no, dude. He's like 240 at 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm not really quite sure what KT's hopes are. When you look at their team composition right now, Yorick doesn't have the capability to start split pushing, but we're going to hold that thought as we take another look at what just happened. Smeb getting caught by Dove and OnFleek here. Umti saying, hey, I'm helping, but Stand United and Lissandra having that hourglass available to her.
Yeah.
Able to just turn that around, and then it didn't matter that Zenit was on his way, as there was no way to keep that fight going. And so, right now, you're KT and you're thinking, okay, well, we need a dream engage. We need some sort of a dream flank for Vladimir, and you're not going to be able to get that because your lanes can never get priority. And with Sivir being as far ahead as she is, what can you ever hope for?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, LS. I don't think there's too many answers here. On the KT side, either as SANDBOX, 5,000 gold is the lead. Cloud Drake apiece is nothing to really worry about. as KT, that was the last objective that they were able to actually get, as Smeb's just getting picked on the Dark Procession. Not even a factor, because a front flip, and he's just going to die. So Jace picks that one up, and Summit made this Jace look like the counter pick and not the Yorick.
Yeah. And now they're looking to threaten this bottom 3 turret as UMT coming down there to try to clear out the wave against the Jace and the Jet. What?
Are you empty? Was that the question?
Oh. He's about to be empty. He's empty inside, actually,
I think maybe that is the case. I think that might be the case. As B2D is trying his very best, but honestly, this game has been lost around him so many times in 2019. SANDBOX, it's almost a special delivery on a Baron buff here as they steal away the blue buff from KT. We'll augment these item builds even further, and let's have a look at Smeb dying again. I don't know why we want to do this.
He's walking right through the open corridor for no reason. If he just went around, this play by SANDBOX never works. But instead, he felt compelled to go that way rather than take the 3-second route the other way. So SANDBOX waiting on the horizon, again, punishing a mistake. And that was the story of game number 1. We're seeing it again in game number 2.
Oh, I love this from Dove as well. Actually did decide to finish the Zhonya's Hourglass because he broke his stopwatch.
Yep.
And as soon as he goes back, instead of going towards the Ludens or something like that, he is just going to make sure that he can go golden yet again because he just buys so much time on this Lissandra. That was why Umti couldn't actually help Smeb because he was trying to beat down Dove, but he just turned gold and then everything was A-OK. Floor of Doom gets him to relative safety. So now Siva moving towards the top side. Very close to an Infinity Edge, 850 gold bounty, and sitting at 0-0-0. There's not a better thing to have as a Siva than like this farm bounty here as Joker's going to have to flash to get out of the way. Snowflower is hunting him down, but he's not even going to be able to get the stun.
This is really unfortunate for KT. Everything just keeps going wrong, and honestly, this game is looking a lot like Griffin versus anyone.
Yeah. It's actually starting to look a little bit more like SANDBOX versus Jin Air earlier on because it was just weird. It was weird, it was wonderful, but it wasn't exactly high-level League of Legends.
You know, we said earlier that Yorick might be controlling the Leper Gnomes, but what if he's secretly the Father Murloc?
Ooh.
Right?
I mean, those guys are extremely loud.
They do, and
they kind of sound a little bit, you know, like... I don't know. I think if those ghouls were underwater...
That was a fantastic impression.
It was a
Have you practiced that?
Yes, of course I have. Come on, mate.
I can tell you have no experience with that.
If you've ever played World of Warcraft, you've definitely practiced being a Murloc.
Oh, man.
Whether you want to or not.
Well.
Okay, well, SANDBOX at least running over Vision at this point, as KT do have a few wards here in this... their own jungle on the bottom side, but that's not exactly where you want to have Vision. It's on Fleet going to be soloing out this Mountain Drake, the first good one of the game thus far. And look at where Ghost's positioned. Now, Zenit, you want to be riding this down. You stand back when the enemy moves towards you. It's generally how it works. And you play towards the side where you have Vision.
And
there you go. There you have it. Look,
KT.
He's still alive.
He is still alive indeed, and KT, they're not really looking like they know what to do. I mean, they keep accumulating items. I mean, the Death Clap, well, it's intended to clap. Death Cap available on Vladimir now. Still on the tier 1 boots. But how do you really find an opening? This tier 1 turret being perma wave cleared by the Sivir in mid lane. You don't really have the ability to just run over and try to do the Baron, and if any of the members get picked off, that Mountain Drake, Jace, Jack, Sivir, Baron's gone in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just feel like you don't have a composition that's going to be able to siege very well, right? Like, Zoe, Vladimir, not exactly going to have the greatest range. Yes, they'll chunk it with the AP that they've built up now, but you're not going to be able to get free time with this turret because unless you got a Baron buff, Sivir kills the minion wave instantly, like we can see right here.
G-Host now at 333 CS.
And a 1,000 gold bounty. 26.5 minutes into the game. The 3 items that you want on the Sivir. And he's been playing PvE, man. To go back to the World of Warcraft references, this is the guy that just doesn't want to play the arena anymore as Joker. I don't know. What? Okay, yeah, sure. He just walks through 2 people and he's fine.
Yeah.
A-okay?
No idea what is going on here. And Clown Drake, I mean, it's coming up in 3.5 minutes, but should not be a very high priority objective for either team. And if KT end up feeling a little frisky and they want to get the second Cloud Drake for themselves, they're going to learn very quickly that that is a John Wayne Gacy if SANDBOX just want to contest them there.
Yeah, Baron is just definitely going to die at that point as well, as a couple of backs are actually seen on vision here for SANDBOX, so they can move in, clear things out. But you can see just passively, this game is getting further and further away from KT. We've got a Sivir that's scaling up. We've got a Jax who's also built Trinity Force after his Cinderhulk. So OnFleek is basically going to be a laner at this stage. Jax is going to be very scary. So having gold bounties of this level when we've only had 5 kills in the 30 minutes of gameplay that we've had thus far, it's just ludicrous. But it's happening, something we're going to have to accept.
You know, I absolutely love this. I love when every single game can start sort of turning into, you're wondering, it just removed the nameplates and you think it's Jin Air.
Yeah.
Because it's just wave clear after wave clear after wave clear. Now let me hold on, let me turn the page here. We're gonna have a team fight.
Okay.
And after the team fight, the game is going to end within a minute, and it's gonna occur around the 30-minute mark, Atlas.
Does this script of yours that you're reading look copy-pasted?
No, not at all.
It doesn't?
I've seen it a few times in LCK.
Doesn't look like a photocopy?
Yeah.
As, okay, that's the Sanguine Pool again that's going to stop the counter-strike, as OnFleek could be in trouble. Hemoplague, though, is not going to be enough, and the flash there from the Jax is going to be okay. Summit right on the backside as the Maiden is in amongst this fight, as well as SANDBOX going for some sort of collapse here as OnFleek's trying to get his health bar back. You can see minions knocking on the back door of the KT Villa. And it's going to be Summit that's going to move in here first. Dove's going to come down as well. Smeb's trying to help out here.
Oh.
And they're going to lose this turret. Dove might not be in the right spot, but if they can deal with Smeb early enough, that could actually be a huge deal. And Stage United is going to be available. That's a massive knock-up coming in from the Alistair. Snowflower's trying to save this game for KT. Rolster. Inhibitor turret does fall down, and now Sivir with spare time in the mid lane. Summit over there as Smeb's underneath his inhibitor turret, and Snowflower's not going to be able to catch him. The flash is there for Summit. And now Joker's just having fun underneath this turret while the rest of the base is getting torn apart. Ghost, can he actually get the work done? The answer's no. And they will lose a couple of members here, as that was a weird exchange, but one that I think SANDBOX are okay with.
Yeah, I definitely think that SANDBOX are okay with that. I mean, they have open access to the base now. And take another quick look at this. Summit goes on to Smeb. He's locked up by Dove, and he just barely manages to escape right there. And that was a really clutch knockup by Snowflower on this Alistar. Umpty coming in to try to do Umpty things. And meanwhile, Ghost is barreling down mid lane. And then Smeb decides that he wants to recall in between the inhibitor and the turret. Not quite sure why. He just walked up and kept walking. He wouldn't have died, but
yeah.
Unfortunate there. Vladimir does end up picking up a double kill here, and that is really important because Vladimir is the only hope KT has right now alongside the Zoe. Zoe doesn't have the death cap yet.
Well, Spellbinder is completed here for Zenit as well.
Split push, engaged. Normally this is very weak.
Oh, but here we go.
From red team.
I love this. Using the Jax as a split pusher, though, from the jungle. Jungle experience is nerfed. Well, that doesn't matter. Throw him in a side lane. Things will be okay. Summit's down there on the bottom side. No inhibitor turret to speak of, as teleport is down for Smeb, not down for Summit. So Baron, a very clear option for SANDBOX, and we know that they love starting the Baron. Give them an opportunity to start Baron. They'll start Baron.
I mean, it's almost reaching a point where you can two-man the Baron with Jax and Jace or Jax and Sivir as long as you have enough priority, but KT should definitely be able to sniff that out and then just go and defuse it.
The blue trinket available there for that one is another Clown Drake going to be going over to OnFleek here. Teleport from Ghost gets him back into the mid lane.
Awesome.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, let me tell you what he's going to do now. He's going to come into mid lane and he's going to wave clear.
Yeah, do you know what he did? He went back and bought a Guardian Angel outright.
Nice.
Already had a QSS.
Excellent.
Sivir is really far ahead. He's Flame Horizoned already over Zenit. And Summit is trying to get away from here. Acceleration Gate is going to be enough on top of the Youmu's. And, all right. Your move, KT, I guess.
Get another Flame Horizon in LCK.
Well, that Trouble Bubble is going to get stepped on there by Ghost, who has to use his QSS. Another bubble lands onto Joker, who uses his QSS to get out of it as well. Now SANDBOX have to fight without 2 cleansers being available, as Morning Mist doesn't find the target there from Smeb. Didn't have any ghouls around either, as Umti throws an axe into Joker. Joker not too worried about it. Fleek trying to get the snare up. Goes golden to Umti as Snowflower gets the headbutt pole. That's the front line. Getting tagged onto here by SANDBOX, as that's going to be the first kill. Dove, no! He eventually goes golden right at the right time, as Stanch United not going to be enough. The first kill actually going over to the cow, as Snowflower is trying desperately to carry this one. Summit over to the side. He wants to go back bottom side of the map as SANDBOX. They lose their mid laner.
Yeah.
Nothing else happens.
This is a really, really big win for KT, and unfortunately, they didn't manage to get any of those bounties that are on the Jace or the Sivir, but it is some much-needed pressure relief. We're going to take another quick look at this right now. Empty getting absolutely gutted, but using that stopwatch, able to live just long enough for BDD to get in behind, and Dove using his ultimate on Snowflower, extremely questionable.
I think that must have been a misclick,
yeah,
right?
Should have had his thumb on the ult key and just self-cast it. Not really quite sure what he was doing there, as the Alistar was not a threat by any means. And so now, looking like round 2.
Yeah, KT running it up mid, as Summit is going to be there with the accelerated shock blasts to help clear out this wave. Ghost there as well. So wave clear is not something that SANDBOX are worried about, and KT need to try and use this to get themselves in a position to take a Baron. But how are they supposed to do that is the question that I have. 6,000 gold is not exactly insurmountable as far as that lead is concerned, and if KT can win a fight, they get so much more gold.
Yes.
On top of everything else. They are very close to Smeb having a GA. Zenit is really scary. You finally do have the death cap on BDD. Like, KT are scaling.
Yes.
And OnFleek is out of position.
And right now, yes, there is a 7, almost 8K gold lead on the side for SANDBOX. Okay, Summit making a donation.
Yeah, but SANDBOX need to be running towards this Baron right now. They are pinging onto it. They do have a GA to get through here as BDD comes on down. They're not going to chase onto OnFleek, as, yeah, GA going to come back up again, and the Baron has been started. Zenit going to move on over. They do have vision of this one. There's Dove and Ghost doing a fair bit of damage here. Joker wants to find it, gets the taunt on, as there's the flash forward. Can they get enough CC? The CC, but not going to be enough, as Zenit's running to high heaven to get out of here, as a trouble bubble is going to land. Ghost has that QSS available again, but SANDBOX, they're off the Baron, and they have to run.
This might actually be KT now being able to get the Baron. All of the members are... Never mind. All right, we're stuck in this forever.
Yeah, the mid lane has minions in it. LS, okay. Oh, man. If this was our last series, that was a dead Sivir. Or that was a dead whoever was backing there. I think it might have been Joker. Okay, Baron's going to be started up yet again. Snowflower's trying to get some vision in here, and there's not a lot of vision available for SANDBOX as the trouble bubble goes wide. That actually could be very pivotal, as there's a special delivery on the Shen. Zenit now has the full bar and goes in there. Hemoplate goes down, as that's going to be Lissandra falling, and KT, they pile on in, and they're able to grab the kills. That is so much money onto Smeb. Good God, how many items can he build now? About 100. Most likely is now Summit wants to donate himself onto this KT squad. He's ignited. OnFleek does get some CC down, but the Jace should be okay. There's the flash out from OnFleek, and he's going to survive for the moment. Oh my goodness, the Yakety Sax needs to be queued very hard for all of these guys, as the Baron will eventually be taken down. KT do lock that one up, and Umti finally some respite as BDD. He's hit all of the bubbles that KT have needed to get them back into this game.
He's definitely making up for his early game performance. We'll take another quick look at this. So SANDBOX approaching the pit very recklessly, and Snowflower with that flank knocked OnFleek right out of his stun. And then it was all too easy. I've seen plenty of movies to know where this was going, as SANDBOX just got completely obliterated right in that corridor, and Summit wasn't present down in bottom. And all of this started because Ghost was holding his flash to kill Vladimir, and he was just a second too late, and then after that everyone was on full retreat, and now This is SANDBOX's last chance to try to win the game. If they can beat KT at the Elder,
well,
they can definitely still win.
We've got a Frozen Tomb here. We don't have Stand United. Trouble Bubble now on cooldown. Snowflower looking for a flank. As you can see, outside of vision is the Cows. It is going to be a 50-50. He's on fleek, gets himself in there. It's BDD that grabs it, and now KT have so many extra stats, and Snowflower makes his way in. Summit is taken down. There's no more Jax as Dove is trying desperately not to burn to death, but the Elder Drake is going to say no to that one, and KT Rolster, they've turned it around.
And you can see the pings now down on the bottom lane as Ghost. He made it his life's mission to try to clear that midway. Wow.
Okay, Snowflower going to get the headbutt back onto Ghost, but that's just going to buy some time here as we're looking to open this door. Snowflower wants the stun, isn't going to get it just there, but thankfully the QSS is available for Ghost. Meanwhile, this inhibitor turret is not long for the world, but how much further can KT push? They've got a Maiden. They've got so many things. Umti even flashing to get towards inhibitor turrets as Joker gets back. He gets exhausted and pummeled into the ground. Nexus now going to go down, and we've got a game number 3 on our hands. KT fight back against SANDBOX.
And you look at the manner in which KT just won this game, and you wouldn't have expected it after the early game. They ended up outfighting SANDBOX in some of these really clutch fights. They also managed to persevere long enough for them to get to a stage of the game where the champions could come online and actually threaten enough damage, and then Summit, that one death in bottom lane, followed up by SANDBOX's poor Baron decision-making, not executing the Vladimir. Clearly all weren't on the same page. It ends up resulting in us going to game number 3.
Yeah, exactly right, and actually really quite liked the Vladimir play in the end from Zenit. He did manage to turn around what was a pretty abysmal positioning performance of game number 1, and then moved into a game number 2 where, when it counted, he managed to find his W button and wasted a whole lot of cooldowns from SANDBOX, who were going for that gamble. I mean, they obviously sent Summit towards the bottom side of the map to bait in that opportunity to go for the Baron, and then it was just one Vladimir, and then the game was over.
Yeah. And I mean, in this game, SANDBOX, they had the stall comp with the Sivir endlessly wave clearing.
Yeah.
They had 1-3-1 possibilities available, being backed up by the Shen. They utilized it at some points in the game, but it definitely doesn't look as clean and systematic as when they have that super reckless, aggressive type of team composition.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it felt too slow in the mid game, where SANDBOX obviously had their big advantages. And then a couple of death caps come in. You've got Vladimir and Zoe, and BDD in the later stages of that game went from not hitting the trouble bubbles and it being quite comedic in the mid game to hitting every bubble he needed to in order to lock that game down for KT. It was very, very nicely done. And you can see 21,000 damage is going to be that number. Of course, Ghost did a lot, but a lot of it was incidental damage in that laning phase and in the mid lane where it was throwing ricochets through. So I feel like all of those numbers that the Zoe has cropped up were important, because it was either chunks or it was trouble bubbles landing. Really great performance from BDD, and Zoe has really been the talk of this week. She's been pretty damn pivotal for every team she's on. She's
considerably the best mid laner that can exist right now. I mean, she shuts down the Lissandra. She really puts her in her place, and the champions that can exist to actually compete against her, not really all that threatening, given how much of a table she can just flip and turn around late game against any team composition.
Exactly right, but we'll see whether it's going to be flipped yet again. We have a game 3 on our hands, so a very short break, and then we'll be back to see whether it's KT or SANDBOX.